New World Order. Now, this is apparently written in stone, and we're to believe that there's no options in the whole thing. Well, I don't think that's true. And I don't think that because world government is inevitable that it means it has to be anything about dictatorship, which the New World Order would be if you were to believe that these people who are in charge now are going to stay in charge. But they're not going to stay in charge. They are evolutionary unfitting, and they will be removed of their positions because it is necessary. It would probably be the best bet for all of us in the future to make sure that this is done without violence. Because if they were removed in an instant with violence, there's a very good chance that somebody else would just grab up whatever they got, which is most of the wealth, and nothing would change. But I think we can change it by doing things slowly. And one of the things I think that is very important is decentralizing from everything. I'm not saying that we should forget about a form of governing the whole world, but I don't even know if governing is the right word. There has to be something that's a little less severe than governing, that brings communication between lands and people, but it doesn't dictate to them what they must do towards the future. And our biggest problem right now is that we are run and ruled by this monetary system, and it's crippled us. It's made us into willing slaves. I mean, we used to be fairly willing slaves before, but now we sort of do it for not even know that we're slaves, which makes it almost more of a lie. But I think we can sort of slip out of it. There's no real chains on us. It's all in our heads. We've been taught to believe in the system. We've been taught to believe in the God. We've been taught to believe in the law. But of course, we can change our minds. We can say, no, this is wrong, and we're going to do something different. So, let's do something different. I think the quickest way to make a change on this planet, and I think everybody realizes both now that we've got no choice, is to do it in a small way. Because if you do it in a small way, it becomes possible to do it. And anybody can do it. And if everybody does just a little bit, then it'll change, obviously, a lot. So, if you decide, what I was thinking is if you're at your workplace and you think, well, let's assume Europe for now. If you're in North America, maybe it's something that you would think of somebody else to send help to. And I think if you're in Europe, you could say, well, Europe has raped and is still raping Africa. Why don't we think about returning a little bit of the wealth and the knowledge back to Africa and see if we can get Africa to be a nation that at least has a standard of living where there's no desperation for food and water. Those kind of things we can't allow. It's just it's got nothing to do with being friendly either. It's got to do with being practical. Because if you've got Africa starving and dying of diseases, it's leading to a catastrophe that simply is going to be really hard to repair. And the catastrophe will be most of Africa, and it'll be war because they got no choice. They got no choice but to come over the ocean however they can and look for something in Europe. So we have to start giving it to them now. And we can start with a little bit. And a little bit for us is a lot for them. And if a lot of people give a little bit, then it starts to accumulate. And the way to do it is for your place at work, or whatever you do, an organization for maybe 10 or 20 people, just give whatever it is, a dollar a day between 10 people. That's a dime. So maybe you've got a restaurant and you get people to throw in a quarter once in a while, or a euro, whatever. And when you get the money at the end of each couple of days, you take it to the bank and you accumulate it. And maybe after 6 months you get 1,000 or 2,000 euros. and you can do something with it. And then specifically choose a place that you know about. There's enough Africans around. You can ask them, well, open up communications with us so we can send them what they need. Maybe they need clothes, maybe they need books. I mean, there's all kinds of things we can do, and if we do it small and with modesty, then it's something that somebody else can mimic. And if we can get this as a trend and also keep it small so that it's decentralized, so everybody is doing their own thing, it'll change the way we communicate with each other. The whole concept of sending money to an organization and you never see the people, it's just guilt shit that we're dealing with. It's pointless to feel guilty and pointless to give your money away to something you don't know anything about, because it's probably an organization that swallows most of it up anyway. So do it yourself. And it doesn't have to be charity. It could be growing vegetables for your local community. Do it yourself. Give a couple of apples to the family that can't afford to buy fresh apples. And it just has to be a little bit, and it changes our approach to one another. And I won't go any farther tonight because that's enough. Yeah. So I'm just sort of spitting this out. If anybody's got a better idea, let's talk about it. World government is coming somehow, and we should think about it now, and we should make sure that it's not a dictatorship, because that will just end up in a big stinky mess.